What's up, guys? I'm EJ. I'm joined by Kendall and Shamari. The three Musketeers are back here talking about Loki, episode 4, the Nexus event. Very excited to have Sham back with us. He hasn't been in the first 3 episodes, but he's back to talk about Loki this week. And Sham, I think you really stepped into a really dynamic episode with a lot of stuff happening and really seeing the story move forward in a major way here today.
Yeah, I jumped in quite the episode. So a lot of stuff to talk about. Um, I guess just to give a cliff note to my thoughts so far. I know Kendall's been kind of conveying some of my thoughts in the other episodes, but I've liked the show so far. It's been very good. I know people have been raving about it. Saying it's like the best of it. I don't know about all that. I have to see how it concludes. But this episode was fantastic, which of course we're going to get into. But I thought this was the best of the episodes so far. I'm looking forward to jumping into it.
Kendall, it sounds like Sham, you were basically acting as a Rem Slayer to Sham, the timekeepers, by relaying the information that he wanted to get across on this video / podcast.
Yeah, I feel like Shamari was like it's like the football player or basketball player that like Rob Gronkowski that's been retired and then comes back to a championship team. Or it comes back,
and he's talking back.
You're like, I don't do the boring stuff. I only do the best episodes.
He signed for the vet minimum to come get a ring. That's what Short is.
Yeah, exactly.
Testing the waters.
I thought that this was the. To me, we'll get into it more, but this might have been the best episode. I think it's definitely the best episode of the season, but this may have been the best episode of anything we've reviewed on this YouTube channel so far in the Disney Plus era. So, we'll see where my score ends up being and whether or not that would rate as the best one. But a lot of interesting stuff to talk about. So, let's get going.
Yeah, let's get it, man. So we're talking about episode 4, the Nexus event, and I thought that this episode, the previously on, really kind of set the tone already with what the theme of the episode was going to be by showing us. Mobius saying that the timekeepers created all of the soldiers and TVA agents, and then of course going back to when Sylvie, told Loki that these TVA agents and soldiers, they're just variants, that were Earthlings or wherever they from, but they have a past life, and this is them just now following out these mindless orders for the timekeepers, and that pretty much sets the tone for the entire episode. And I thought it gave us the open that I think we really needed when it comes to Sylvie's backstory and kind of bringing us. I think for a lot of folks, she was already a sympathetic figure, well beyond, well beyond even having these moments, seeing her as a child being taken away from Asgard, seemingly innocent, seemingly not doing anything. Most of the time we've talked about, timekeepers taking away, the TVA taking away somebody doing some kind of mischief or whatever. I mean, you see an innocent girl being ripped away from her home without anybody knowing because she's a quote unquote, time variant who is disobeyed the sacred timeline. And seeing that kind of backstory to Sylvie, you learn a lot about her and why she is the way she is. And you kind of know, Sham, that this on the run thing she's been on has been going on for maybe thousands of years when you consider how old Asgardians are. So it truly speaks to the trauma she's lived with for a long time.
Yeah, and I feel like you had to see that because she, I thought in the last episode she came across as very unlikable.
Yeah,
because we all love Loki. At least so far in this show, we all love Loki, and he's a person in this show that we know about and that we enjoy seeing. He's fun. He's a trickster. He's, ha ha ha, kind of quirky. Yeah. Maybe not so much in the show, but that was his thing before. So yeah, I mean, they needed to do that. They needed to soften Sylvie up, and they did.
Yeah.
And I thought it was very effective.
Yeah.
So her backstory was very compelling. It made you feel for her. She opened up a little bit in the last episode, but she really, you really saw that shine through in this one. So, so yeah, I thought that was very effective, and it just Marvel doing Marvel stuff. They got me to they got me to feel for one of the characters that I didn't think I was gonna like very much from the start. So yeah, I
That
liked it.
that's interesting, Sham. You say that you tended to not like Sylvie from the last episode that we saw her. I mean, I think me and Kendall had a pretty positive reaction to her
Mm.
character, even if she played somewhat of a foil. Though for most of the episode, her and Loki's their interests are aligned, and a lot of that conversation is also a big theme of this episode. What about her character that did you just like that turned you off when you since you've been watching?
Um. Well, of course she's the or at the time she was the bad guy,
That's
in the
true.
show. So she's the one that's causing all of this stuff to happen in the
Yeah.
first place. And she, saw the Loki that we know of, the Loki that we know and love, as just, a hindrance. Oh, get out of my way! Why are you here? I hate you! Get out of here! And it's like, I didn't react positively to that. I was like, all right, so she's just gonna, be a jerk to him, and that'll be the
Hmm.
dynamic. It's Loki will try to convince her that he's worth paying attention to because he's Loki, and she's just gonna, dismiss him and not pay attention to him, and that'll be the thing. And I was like, okay, you know, um, so yeah, I wasn't feeling that dynamic. That's not to say that her role in the show wouldn't have still been, valuable. I was open to seeing where they were going to take it, but I mean, I definitely don't think she was likable, you know, just in terms of her character
Right.
up to that point. Even though you sympathized with her being, kidnapped and all that as well.
Kendall, we also learn in this opening scene, which shows not only her being taken away, but her escaping, and we see she, steals a temp pad, which, we saw Loki steal a temp pad from B-15, so we see, okay, the Lokis, that's been their MO when they've gotten these opportunities, is take the temp pad and just go off, but obviously Sylvie is taking that to another level. Loki kind of was just, didn't really know what he was doing, and he was kind of just stuck in the TVA, just kind of causing havoc. What did you make of Remslayer being the person that was, the kind of the supervising officer who was supposed to be taking her in during that time? And given where this episode goes with that showdown at the end, where do you what did you make of all that?
Yeah, I think I mean, that's an interesting observation. I think that's one of the more interesting things of the 20 interesting things that were revealed and that happened in this episode. I think that's definitely one of them. Um, Renslayer's character, we've talked about her quite a bit in these reviews, and she's always been sort of mysterious in what her role is in all of this and where she stacks up in the TVA. And it seems as if, given what we know at this point about the TVA, how they're all variants, um, it seems as if she used to be a hunter, then is she a variant as well?
Right.
But how did she get promoted to judge or whatever, her title is now, when she used to be a hunter?
Right.
And is she a variant? And why does it seem like she knows more about what's going on than the average person in the TVA?
Right.
And it seems by the end, once we get to the whole timekeepers deal, that she knew about it. We don't know. We'll get all that confirmation next week. But it seems as if she knew about all of
Mm-hmm.
the nonsense. So there's still a lot of mystery with her character. But that's the biggest question: is what's been her progression? Where does she come from? What does she know? And who was the guy that was the judge prior to her? And where is he
Mm-hmm.
now? There's so many questions. But I assume we'll get them in the next episode. But yeah, that was an interesting observation for sure.
Now, Sham, the once we get back to current times and we see where things are, we now have confirmation that Sylvie and Loki's shot of them in that purple planet is indeed them in Lamentus, kind of awaiting the catastrophe that's meant to happen. And we see that their bond and their union that comes together right as the world's about to blow up creates the Nexus event level potential that spurns the TVA to go in and finally find where they are. when they get back, they're separated, and they have very different interactions with their corresponding TVA soldiers or / agents. So with Loki, Mobius ain't really trying to hear anything from Loki in regards to what he's learned. He pretty much, surmises that, yeah, you guys are, now working as a team, and or you're working for her, or some kind of deal's happening. He really doesn't give Loki any benefit of the doubt, and to be fair, Loki doesn't really earn it or deserve it at any point in the show. On the flip side, Sham, you had the B-15 Sylvie interaction, which was much different. Sylvie, having that conversation with Mobius, asking, hey, what's with C-20? And they say, oh, we don't know. And she was perturbed by that. And then she having that experience of Sylvie enchanting her during the Rockstar scene starts to get questions about what's going on. And she learns that she had a family and she had a happy life once after she breaks out Sylvie to bring her back to Rockstar to get those answers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So they definitely had different paths. I think Sylvie's powers and how they work with the TVA people, the TVA agents. And I think it's pretty cool. I think it's nice how they set that up to where she's able to reveal how they're all variants, and she's able to show everyone that. I enjoyed Loki's interaction with Mobius as well.
Every interaction between Loki and Mobius is enjoyable.
Oh yeah, Owen Wilson's killing it in this show.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And
or he killed it.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there.
He pruned it.
we know Loki's okay, so hopefully he's all right too. And but yeah, and Tom Hiddleston, of course, he's been fantastic throughout this entire show. I already liked him before Loki. Now I love Tom Hiddleston. Now I'm one of the Hiddleston fans.
I was one of those guys that was like, why are we doing a Loki show?
Oh, I was absolutely on that bandwagon. I was like, this is gonna be the worst of the worst.
The most skippable kind of.
Even under WandaVision.
Yeah.
This is going to be, and we saw how WandaVision turned out, so that probably should have showed me. But
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this show did nothing but impress. But yeah, they definitely went down different paths. I enjoyed the Loki part. I enjoyed the Sylvie part. I mean, this was, overall, just the whole episode was, it followed just such a great trajectory. It's very well written, very well produced. And, I just thought it was great.
And one of the things that I think it did, the question I did have when we saw Sylvie, show. Now, to be fair, Sylvie, in this part, she's kind of confined, so maybe she didn't have a choice. But when we see her show B-15, her past life, and we see how that changes B-15's outlook, I couldn't help but wonder why we didn't see more of her trying to do that earlier or at any point during this on-the-run move she's been, and trying to convince TVA agents that they are indeed real people who had their lives taken from them, and that they're variants. Why? I don't know, Kendall. Did you question what made the motivation now to say, okay, you know what? I'll show you who you are, and I'll get you on my side? Because it seems like she's kind of been fighting a losing battle, deciding I'm just going to take all of them on and prune them when I can, or kill them when I can. When it seems like, the most success she's had so far, it seems like, in getting as closest to the time creepers as she needed to be, was by playing ball and having a TVA soldier be interested enough in her reveal to actually show them.
Yeah, no, that's an interesting thought. I hadn't thought about it. I mean, I feel like she's, the timing is definitely, sort of, coincidental.
Convenient, yeah.
She decides to, very convenient that she decides to do all of this as the Loki Mobius thing is going on. But, I mean, I feel like it makes sense. The only question I would have is, how long, I guess she's known about this. How long has she known that they're all variants? That's my question.
That's a good question.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like she had done this before at some point.
Right.
Because she acted like she's known this forever.
Right.
So she probably had done this at some point to at least one or more of these people before.
used her enchantment trick.
Yeah.
And maybe they've all had the same reaction, and maybe they've all just been pruned by the TVA. You know,
Maybe.
And that's a fair point. That's what I was thinking too. Was while we see what happens to someone who learned that
figures
they
out.
had a life, is that they're nowhere to be found. They say they're dead, and it seems like that's probably the case because even when Mobius took Remslayer's temp pad kind of machine, it was said that this person was deceased, but then we see why after when we see that agent C20 go through that interrogation where she's like, no, those memories that woman brought about me were real, like we're all variants, and a very dramatic scene in that aspect. Before we get more into like the drama with that, we go back to Loki, and again, it's a very different set of circumstances. Him and Mobius are definitely chirping at each other. It was what is to me excellent dialogue, as it always is. As Shamari said, I agree, very well written, and it ends with Loki being thrown into a quote unquote time cell where we get a cameo from Lady Sif, and this is a created simulation, I would suppose, but still a pretty cool cameo to see Lady Sif show up on the show. And basically it's this time loop of Lady Sif, after Loki has cut part of her hair, coming in saying he's worthless and will die alone, and punching him and kneeing him in the groin before walking away, and it happens over and over and over again. And it's kind of wild to see, like, eventually this kind of like torture, because this is what this is. There's no other way to describe it. How it works, because at the end, Loki says like, I'm a narcissist, and therefore I do these things. Like there's a lot of this whole show is a lot of Loki kind of learning more about himself. But like I think to me, if there was a moment that made me say, okay, like the timekeeper's already been, the TVA has already been very sus to begin with, but that was a moment where I'm like, okay, this goes from these guys are neutral to like, you're clearly torturing this person with this, even if this person was a bad person. Like this isn't right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no. I thought those. First of all, it's the funniest part of the episode.
Yeah,
Hiddleston acted it perfectly.
He did.
But yeah, no. I thought that was, those scenes with Mobius and Loki were really good. I think the Mobius arc was interesting because, he sort of, you may watch the episode and your first reaction is to think that, Mobius kind of figures out the variant thing, like, at the end, and then he gets vaporized or pruned immediately. But I feel like it was a slow progression towards, or a crescendo towards, when the episode starts and Loki tells him the TVA is lying to you, that's when it's kind of implanted in his brain that, all right, something may be out. But really what really sort of piqued him was this conversation with Renslayer, where he wanted to be able to interrogate the variant Sylvie, and she didn't let him. And at that point, that's when he realized, I think, that something was up. Even though he was playing the act to Loki that, Loki's messing around or whatever, I think even to himself. And I think that line that Loki had at the end where he's saying, you're lying to yourself, it was also something else that clicked with him, that, Loki could tell that he may have known something. Because all of it is adding up. How do you not see it unless you're lying to yourself? So, well, for a moment that seems sudden, I think they drop hint after hint after hint that he's starting to figure it out himself.
Yeah, and I think that again, I do wonder like how much of that. I genuinely, the way I read those scenes, like I genuinely thought that he definitely. I think he was like 99% sure Loki was lying. I think there was a 1% that made him curious, and again, I agree. It seemed like him pushing, hey, why can't I just talk to the other, Loki? Like, what's
Right.
what is the big deal? Like, why are you guys holding this person so tight?
Yeah.
And and again, Renslayer being, she's slick. First he's like, oh, well, you lost the last one, so I'm not gonna just kill you. The one that we've been trying to look for this whole time, because he did lose track of Loki, so that did make sense. But yeah, that definitely seems to be the kind of impetus to him for him to be like something isn't right, and that's when he steals that temp pad, and that's when he learns the truth himself. And you see, he's pretty mortified, champ.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I very much enjoyed the Mobius arc, as you mentioned, Kendall, throughout the episode.
Yeah, throughout the series, man.
Yeah, throughout the series. I mean, I don't know if we don't know. I mean, I don't know.
It might be a premature RIP. We'll see. We'll talk about that soon.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens with Mobius. I have a feeling this isn't the last we've seen of him. But yeah, I've very much enjoyed his arc throughout this series and throughout the episode. I mean, even just through this episode alone, his arc was very up and down.
Yeah.
You know, good guy, bad guy, good guy, bad guy.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, do I root
good
for
cop,
him?
bad cop.
Am I rooting against him?
Yeah.
Am I rooting
I mean,
for him?
because he was pretty mean. I mean, again, you know, kind of going back into are the TVA good guys, and that was kind of put to bed last week. But I mean, he's really kind of taunting Loki about like whatever his relationship is with this other variant, and
torturing.
Yes, and then torturing him. Yes, that is what happens.
Now I will give him I'll throw him some bail, shoot him some bail, and say that he got betrayed by Loki. He got stabbed in the back, which he should have.
That is true. Yeah.
But he put a lot of eggs into the Loki basket, and Loki, threw him the first chance he got, threw him away. Now again, he should have realized that was going to happen, but I think he was probably still. It feels like that was a long time ago, but for him, that was instant.
And he's someone that's been bagging and tagging Lokis apparently for quite a while. I mean,
right.
Yeah.
Which
is this a good guy? I mean, is he someone that I'm supposed to be rooting for?
Well, yeah. I mean, that goes.
I mean, we know the TVA. I mean, I don't know. It's a very gray. It's almost like that Mobius is very morally gray. He's definitely not someone where it's like, oh yeah, this is the good guy.
Yeah.
And I think that's on purpose.
Yeah,
I think they do that on purpose. He's not supposed to just be, oh yeah, this is the good guy you're supposed to root for.
I mean, I mentioned the long list of 40 interesting things in this episode. One of the other interesting things was when Mobius was talking about all the different people they've brought in as variants, and one of the things he mentioned was vampires. Mm-hmm. They haven't really mentioned vampires much at all, if ever, in the MCU. Mm-hmm. We know that when this show was announced at Comic-Con, that was the same Comic-Con that they had announced Blade with Mahershala Ali. So the concept of vampires runs concurrently. The creation of the vampire concept in the MCU runs concurrently with the creation of the show. So I tend to think that was an Easter egg that they were dropping there, hinting at the future Blade universe.
What do you think, Shannon? Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I completely agree. I feel like that seemed to just be clearly dropped in to that conversation when it didn't need to be.
Mutants.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. It would have been the same thing. So yeah, I completely agree with that. I mean, I don't think we're gonna get anything else related to vampires in this show.
Right.
And that's different from the whole Kang. I know Kendall's sold on.
Oh yeah, the listeners know
on Kang's appearance, not just his him being alluded to that he will appear.
Yeah.
In this show,
his appearance, we'll get to the Kang thing at the end or later, but
or soon. We'll move this episode pretty quick.
Get to that. I'm much less convinced. But yeah, I thought that was a cool Easter egg. I really do. So. I think it's getting the fans prepared slowly for Blade and some of the other whatever other monsters and people we're going to interact with.
Now, when they come back, after he learns of the C20 testimony of the fact that she learned that she was a variant and that all this thing is a ruse, and the picture then. That shows Renslayer trying to stop the interrogation and stop the recording. He then goes back to Loki and it says, basically, are you telling me the truth? Like, are you telling me the truth? And when he gets finally the confirmation that he was looking for, they then decide, okay, you're right. Everything you said is right, and let's go try to do this thing. But as they leave that cell, there's Renslayer and those other TVA soldiers that were ready and waiting for them. And really before Mobius could really do much of anything, he gets pruned, and it was really dramatic because he's Owen Wilson's character has been with us almost every step of the way, with the exception of the last episode, which was a solely Loki and Sylvie moment. In the moment, Kendall, like again, did you think you thought it was an R.I.P. moment right there when he got pruned? When he got pruned to me, I'll be honest, when he got pruned to me, I thought, okay, there's no way pruning is just killing people. I can't imagine that like it's not good. Like you're going somewhere that we're never gonna see you again. Like we shouldn't see you again. But I don't think they would have killed somebody that's been this part of the major story. And like he doesn't even try to like get to like the bottom of it. Like there's so much that they've left in terms of leaving, meat on the bone with Mobius' character. And again, Kendall has mentioned the jet ski thing a bunch of times. Like I'm like, we're not gonna just know any of that. He's just dead now. Like there's no way. Like that to me automatically was like, okay, pruning isn't killing somebody, and now I'm curious what it is, and we get a little bit of a taste in that mid-credit scene.
Yeah. I mean, initially, I think I thought that he was off the table.
Wow.
I was like, wow, these Marvel shows, man, the stakes are high. I thought he was off the table, but it wasn't until the last scene with Loki, with being pruned, when I realized, all right, so pruning isn't that bad if they're taking the main character off the table.
I was probably thinking, I think I was about the same when Mobius got pruned. I was like, wow, I believed it.
Yeah, they got me, man.
I was like, wow,
they had y'all hook, line, and sinker on that one.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I was like, boy, wow. So because I thought it was just you get the emotional roller coaster, and then you're like, oh, okay, so Mobius is on the good guys.
Yeah,
now. He's trying to take down the TVA. Boom.
Yeah, the rebels.
I thought they were pulling out a Game of Thrones.
Yeah, it would have been. Yeah, it would have been very reminiscent of Game of Thrones. Like because you remember he has that. I think he has a pretty beautiful monologue about because early in the scene, early in the episode, Renslayer asked, where would you go if you can go anywhere in time, and he says, where I would go, where I belong, and like it's a. Again, a lot of well-written lines there, and I thought that was a touching line. And right there, boom. Exactly. And I'm like, that's it for him. But I was like, nah, there's no way. I'm like, there's too much there for him to explore for us to never get that. Like with Agent Coulson, we've seen him a lot when he got. You know what I'm saying? With this idea, it just felt a little too sudden. I was like, okay, now I'm questioning what pruning actually does. But Loki is genuinely saddened. First of all, he was saddened to see Mobius get pruned, but then we see that emotional pull when Mobius earlier in the episode was lying to him about Sylvie being pruned. We see that he has really made a real connection with this Sylvie character, and we knew that from their interaction on Lamentis 1.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And this is a character that hasn't it's lacked. He's a sociopath. He doesn't have empathy. So we've seen. Now we know he grows some of that, from the MCU that we have seen, the sacred timeline, so to speak. He becomes different than the Avengers Loki, but
he's talking like a timekeeper right now.
Am I the person behind the timekeepers? I don't know. But no, but it's interesting that you like the some of the character development we've seen from him in the movies. We kind of saw him do that and go beyond that in just these 4 episodes in terms of growing as a person, which I think I think he's truly had a really redeeming time in this whole thing. Some of it, again, has been through some kind of harsh means, and again, some of it also through torture. But that is what has happened. I think we saw that with Loki in terms of the emotional weight he had seeing Mobius get pruned, and then earlier thinking that Sylvie was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, he showed a lot of emotional growth throughout the entire series.
Yeah.
And again, particularly in this episode, I feel like this episode was like the apex of everything so far. And I mean, it's crazy to think we have 2 episodes to go, but yeah, this was quite an episode.
Yeah, and once that happens, they take away not only do they take away Loki, but they didn't take Sylvie up to see the timekeepers themselves. And we got a glimpse of it earlier in the episode, in the beginning of the episode, when you see Renslayer go up there by herself in that golden elevator. It's smoky. It looks As Booker T would say, whenever the Undertaker comes out, the temperature drops a little bit in the arena. That's what it felt like as she walked into the Timekeeper's realm. And then we see them again now, true interaction with the Timekeepers. I mean, I'll be honest, I didn't think that we were gonna get like them just talking to the Timekeepers. Like I was like, yo, this is really happening in episode 4. I was kind of bugging.
I thought the episode was gonna end when they got in the elevator. I thought they were gonna go down and we were gonna cut to black. And then
I had paused. I take
paused it when we were watching it, and I saw there were 10 minutes to go. I was like, Jesus Christ, we got 10 minutes. We're getting the Timekeeper.
Yeah, I mean, well, I know I take notes during when I watch the show, so periodically I have to pause and so I knew I was like, we got a lot of time left, and like they're going to see the Timekeepers, like this is gonna happen, and they have this interaction with the Timekeepers, and the Timekeepers basically kind of talking. It's funny. I knew something was very awry because the Timekeepers didn't act anything like I would have thought they would have acted. Like, they just seemed like this, even despite all the chaos that happened, it just seemed this all would have been beneath them. But they just talking to them like normal folks, like, oh, look what you've done. Now, what do you guys say for yourselves? I'm just like, really? The Timekeepers? Like, they literally are like part of the sacred timeline. Like, why would they be bothered with these people? Why don't they just put them and leave them alone?
I'll give you a lot of credit, DJ, because I had no idea what they were saying, but there was a lot of Power Rangers villain energy to the Timekeepers. They were mumbling the whole time. I
didn't know what that.
Thought about putting subtitles because I think they were.
I do have subtitles when I watch all these shows. So that's actually interesting. Because of that, I knew everything what they were saying, but. Yeah, they weren't saying anything all that like.
Yeah, it didn't seem like they were saying anything.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I mean, it didn't seem like they. Once they started talking, I was like, yeah, these guys, these aren't the guys. Whoever the people are behind this, it's not the Three Stooge guys sitting in these floating chairs.
Some guy with a mustache and a long.
Yeah, some guy with some long weird beard. I'm like, this isn't what's going on right now. They look kind of weird, just how they're animated and stuff. It kind of looked like animatronics a little bit.
Yeah. Our mom, she was like, looks like something out of like a theme park.
The Chuck E. Cheese. I want to say the Chuck E. Cheese, the band, Chuck E. Cheese band, dancing and singing in the background, singing that same song over and over again.
I will give our mom credit. I gave her a shout out last week, but she said for weeks that she thought that the TVA could be a Wizard of Oz situation.
Wizard of Oz.
She kept using the Wizard of Oz kind of analogy, and when they get shot down.
Yeah.
And you find out they're robots. It does have a big Wizard of Oz feeling to it.
Yeah, it makes me. Yeah, I do feel like I bet you Katie Heron probably definitely had some of that in mind in terms of like that dynamic because it. And to me, like it almost was. I would agree with you guys. It almost was a Wizard of Oz moment when they like talking to them. Like again, like whatever feeling you got when Thanos was talking to some people. I didn't get that when they were talking. You know what I'm saying? The seriousness of, I'm like, this should be a bigger thing. I should feel more afraid or more worried about the situation. These guys seem kind of like buffoonish in a weird way.
Yeah. And it was kind of like Shazam with the wizard. You know,
a little bit,
in the Shazam movie.
Right.
You know, you're kind of like, all right, this guy's kind of goofy. You know, it's kind of similar.
So even though they're pretty much kind of being read their last words and getting the riot act, eventually B-15 comes up and frees them from their like constraints that were constraining their powers and allows them to, which is kind of weird because like even though she freed them, I'll be a little critical here. Like I don't feel like there was nothing that was done. I guess the only thing it really freed them from was not being able to, I guess, be like time looped, which was happening to Sylvie whenever she would try to like pull up on them. Yeah. I guess maybe they still didn't have their powers. I'm like, they didn't have power. They were just scrapping, you know, which was it was a really good fight scene. But I was like this. So maybe it's not a power dampener per se, because technically I guess that, you know, they don't have their powers in the TVA, but they no longer had the control over them to just time loop them like they've been doing when they've had those those chains around their neck. And then we get this fight scene. It's a pretty epic fight scene, and in the middle of it, Sylvie throws one of her swords, her daggers, and chops off the head of one of the timekeepers. And all of a sudden, we're like, what?
Yeah. So honestly, my initial reaction to seeing the timekeepers, the first thing I said was, that's not Kang. You know, when I saw the middle guy,
Facts.
I'm thinking, oh, we're about to get
Yeah.
Kang the Conqueror, man. And I was like,
That's why. No, honestly though, that's why I didn't think we would get the Timekeepers, because I didn't think we were gonna see Kane in episode 4. So I'm just like,
Right.
once I've seen it, I'm like, okay, well this guy clearly isn't Kang. And now we'll get to in a couple minutes where like Kang is still behind this, but I'm like, this guy can't be Kang because.
Yeah, I instantly knew that couldn't be Kang. I was like, Kang is gonna have much better effects than whatever it is I'm looking at right now.
Yeah, I'm like that guy don't look or sound like Jonathan Majors. something's up here.
Yeah, he didn't even look like.
It's funny that they kept, and it's like, they were trolling. They did a lot of trolling throughout the whole series. Zooming in on that one guy in the middle. They showed him a lot in this episode too.
Yeah.
And it's all for him just to get his head cut off, and to him to not to be a him. Again, he was a robot. Leading to Sylvie really being like, man, mindless androids, and feeling like, well, this is a dead end here. And right as that happens, we see Loki himself get pruned by Remslayer. Instead of Sylvie taking Remslayer's life, she says, no, we have other things to do, and that's where the credits roll. So right now, before we get to the big credit scene, what did you think of that end, Sham?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I was, again, like I mentioned before, and like Kendall had mentioned, I was like, okay, what's going on here? Because I'm like, this is a Loki show.
Yeah.
And Loki's not in the last 2 episodes. Like, how does that even work?
Right.
So are they gonna go find another Loki? Because this.
I'll be honest. There was part of me that wondered, like, is this their way of passing the torch to a lady Loki that's just gonna be Loki for the?
I was. No, that's not gonna fly. Like she's not Tom Hiddleston.
Yeah, and that would have been kind of disingenuous marketing.
Yeah, I'd have been like, nah, I wanted to watch Tom Hiddleston's Loki.
Yeah.
And is he gonna be in the next door? Like what's going on? So that wouldn't have flown with me. So I figured, I was like, something's got to be going on here. But I was like, all right, I guess at this point, I guess we gotta see maybe in the next episode. I suppose we'll find out what exactly is going on with the pruning and everyone getting pruned and them doing a Game of Thrones and just
everyone's
just
on the
slicing. Table. Everyone's on the table and no one's safe, kind of thing.
Suicide Squad.
Yeah, Suicide Squad. So at this point I was thoroughly satisfied with the episode.
Right.
Completely satisfied with the episode.
Yeah, to me, it was. EJ knows. Like last week, I was critical of the way they ended the episode because I felt like we knew they were going to get off Lamentus. So this idea that there was some apocalyptic planet that was going to come and end their existence didn't move me, because I'm like, we know it was already a slow episode, and you end on a cliffhanger that I don't care about because I know they're going to get off. Right. It was a weird way to end. This ended similar, but I was way less frustrated because the episode gave us way more. So I was willing to acknowledge that, oh yeah, Loki's going to come back. We know he'll probably be early in the next episode that we'll figure out he's not dead, but I'm willing to accept the fact that because the episode gave us so much, like we can end on a weird note like that. With that being said, the decision to go to a mid-credit scene makes way more sense than, because again, we knew that Loki was going to come back, so leaving it up into the ether for a whole week was meaningless because the cliffhanger didn't mean as much. But with what we had in the post-credit scene, now we're speculating. Now we're really wondering what's going on, based off of what we saw.
Yeah, I agree. Because like I said, to me, again, Mobius being the first pruning really raised my thing to, okay, I don't know if pruning is killing people. And then when Loki was pruned, I'm like, okay, there's no way.
There's no way
they just killed Tom Hiddleston's character in episode 4 of this series. There's no way. So that must mean they're going somewhere, and it's just a matter of where did they go. And I'll be honest, I did not know if this was gonna have a mid credit scene before I watched, but I had a feeling when I saw that scene that we're gonna get a mid credit scene. We're gonna know what happened. Yeah. Sure enough, we did, and that scene shows Loki kind of wake up. He says, "Oh my God, am I dead? Is this hell?" And he looks up, and some people say he must come with them. And as we see, it's a young-looking Loki, a Loki that looks very similar to what we've seen in the comic books from like the 70s. And then maybe it's a black Loki. I don't know if that. I'm assuming that guy is also Loki. He doesn't look as much like Loki
According
as
to
other
the
two.
press, I believe they also say he's a Loki.
Yeah, so I assume he's a Loki. He's a black man. So that's pretty interesting. But three Lokis kind of see him wake up, and now they have to go with him. And
there's also an alligator Loki that the kid is holding.
Yes,
is wearing the Loki helmet, or the Loki the Loki horns. I mean, there's been a lot of speculation about who Richard E. Grant was playing in the series. People thought he may be the villain of the series, or he may be some sort of old version of Loki that was, running the TVA or something. But they're right about the old version of Loki thing, but not in the way that we thought. And clearly that there are other guest stars and guest appearances that we weren't expecting. It's funny because Mobius had already introduced the idea that there were multiple different versions of Loki out there besides him and Sylvie. That there were quite a few variants out there. And Shamari talked about it early in the episode that clearly they had been tangling with Lokis throughout the series, or at least before the series. Mobius had dealt with Lokis prior to that, so yeah, that was interesting. I don't really know what we're gonna get. I mean, are we assuming that is a planet or a place specific to Loki, or are we assuming that's where everybody is? That is permanent.
I think it's something that's. I think it's specific to Loki. I think that.
Yeah, I think so.
I think that everybody that gets pruned, they go to a place where their other variants are there. So I think Mobius is in a place now where other Mobiuses are, and we'll learn very soon, who are other Mobiuses. I think that's going to be one of perhaps the biggest reveals of this.
Yeah, EJ. Me and EJ talked about it. And EJ feels strongly that there could be that Mobius could be another character in the Marvel universe.
I feel like this episode now, I feel very strongly about that. Like, if I put that at like a 35% chance or 40% chance last time, I would say now I'm closer to 60, 65, where he's going to be someone significant in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. He could be someone that we already know, a variant of someone that's already in the MCU, or he could, because, again, we know that variants can be different people, literally. So he could literally be anybody. So he could be someone we've been introduced before.
Yeah, he could be Hawkeye.
Or he could be someone, right? Yeah, exactly. Or he could be someone who we have been introduced before, but that's another way to introduce to a new character. So I think who Mobius is turns into. It was already a big thing I was following already, but now it's like a major plot point for me to know who is Mobius. I can't imagine that that's going to be a throwaway.
Interesting. That's a very interesting theory. I think I don't know. I think it's definitely possible.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that I would say it's likely just yet, but I do think that's definitely a possibility.
I think it's WandaVision territory, where I feel like that's an aerospace engineer kind of thing, where it makes sense, but I just don't know if Marvel's going to give us
because I would still be satisfied if that wasn't the case.
Right.
So that's why I'm like, it doesn't. Maybe
what they're telling us is that Mobius is somebody from a certain time where he loved jet skis. That's all we know.
Right.
So it's the 90s, most likely.
Yeah, exactly. They haven't necessarily told us that he's Nova, or that he's I don't know, an X-Men, he's Cyclops. They haven't told us that, but you never know. Like you said, he could be a variant of somebody that we haven't seen yet, or somebody that we have seen. I think I'm more of the mindset that we're gonna get them all on the same planet. That they're gonna meet up with Mobius again. One of the things that interests me is
real quickly, I do also think they can be on the same planet, but I think that you could be on the same planet, but you're sent to a section that was only people of you. Right. I wouldn't put that past them either.
Right. In one of the earlier episodes, didn't the guy's desk that had the Infinity Gems, didn't that get pruned?
Yeah, I think so.
I wonder if that's going to play a factor. If those things, remember he was all upset. He was like, "You almost got me,"
Oh yeah.
I forgot what she was doing. B-15. and he was upset. The fish guy, and I wonder if those Infinity Gems are going to come back into play at all. That could be something that ends up happening. But to me, first of all, how we got to reset, because where do we think we got 2 episodes to go?
Yeah.
The TVA has been blown up, basically. I don't want to say blown up, but the timekeeper, the idea that
the timekeeper has definitely been blown up.
It's been blown up. We know it's all a farce. We don't know who's behind the farce. We know Renslayer seems to be involved on some level. How do we think the pacing of the show is going to finish off? Like, is the next episode about getting Loki off of wherever he's at, and then the finale being the showdown? Like, are we gonna how are we gonna settle all this?
And the next by the end of the next episode, we're gonna know what's going on.
Yeah.
So you think we'll know who's behind the timekeepers by the end of the next episode?
Exactly. We'll know the man behind the curtain, so to speak. We'll get a lot of Lokis. So it'll be a lot of Easter eggs, a lot of reveals and cameos and things like that. A lot of cool Loki moments, which will be very fun. And yeah, I think Sylvie and Renslayer are gonna have a nice long chat about what exactly is going on.
Yeah, and that'll hopefully break down what we're gonna get. What's going on. Let's get to the Kang conversation.
Yeah.
Do we, now that the TVA and the timekeepers are in chaos and peril and the timekeepers are not a thing, do we, I personally, am more confident. I'm 100% certain that Kang the Conqueror is behind the TVA.
100%.
110%.
110%.
Okay, so that lends me to your question, Kendall. What is his motivation to keep the timeline a specific way? I guess to answer my own question, I would assume perhaps it's a timeline that he knows he wins.
Right. That's what I was going to get at too. That he has that the sacred timeline is the timeline that you said where he wins, or the timeline where it's an outcome that's in his favor. I feel like I don't know. The only thing that I still don't know about is Renslayer. In the comics, she is his wife. I don't know what she is. She in the series, if she again she might be a variant. Who is she a variant of? Is she a variant of his wife? I don't know. Right. These are all questions, but I don't know for a fact. I think we will see Jonathan Majors. I don't think he's going to be fighting Loki at all. I think it'll be way more of a Thanos, in Guardians, watching from a distance, like, oh man,
I'll do it myself.
Yeah, exactly.
That kind of thing.
I think, but I'm 110% certain that Kang is behind all of this.
Shamari, do you meet that same certainty with Kang being behind this?
No, I do not. Do I know who's behind this? No, but particularly after what happened with WandaVision, I will continue to cite WandaVision and Falcon and Winter Soldier. Okay, I mean we were all saying Steve's gonna show up, and this
Strange.
one Doctor Strange, this one, that one's gonna show up. Zola, and no one was showing up. No one showed up anywhere in either of those shows. So I mean,
this show is clearly the least. This show is the one that has strayed the most left than either of the other ones. The other ones we thought were going to stray left and never did, particularly WandaVision.
I mean,
but WandaVision was played it pretty much besides the Agatha Harkness twist, which wasn't really a twist because we knew it was coming. Mm-hmm. Everything that they told us was true. But with this show, this is the whole timekeeper thing is a massive lie. And so whatever. Unless Renslayer is behind all of it, it's like Scooby Doo. It's like who's left.
It's like I was gonna say,
I'm just saying In WandaVision, they had Quicksilver in the joint.
That's fair.
They had the actor playing Quicksilver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was not him.
Yeah, the Ralph Boner thing was the one thing that was clearly a misdirect.
And I was gonna say it to me, like to this show's credit, like for example, like someone like Hayward, where we're all like, "Yo, who's Hayward? Is he, is he Ultron? Is
we
he
kept
a Skrull?"
saying, we had a conversation on the show. Is he just evil government guy? Like, there's
Yeah,
no way
he was just evil government guy.
He was the evil government guy.
Yeah, but to be fair though, with this show, I mean, we know something is nefarious is happening. Like,
Right.
Remslayer isn't who she says she is. The TVA aren't who they say they are. The Timekeepers aren't even a thing. So the wolves has been pulled off in a much larger way than there ever has been in WandaVision. So that lends me to believe that there is
when I
a
mentioned
lot
Scooby-Doo,
to discuss with that.
when you think about the way Scooby-Doo is structured, where you're trying to figure out who's the villain, who's the mystery, character at the end, you kind of have to do a process of elimination. And Kang may be a red herring, like we have to
Definitely.
It could be, or Renslayer could be a red herring. But another character who hasn't been accounted for, we really don't know what the deal is with them, is Miss Minutes. And that's, she's somebody that we would assume, not to pay attention to, just a cartoon. But, Tara Strong said that there's going to be more in store for her character. She said that like a couple episodes ago. Yeah. We haven't seen her since. But so I would suggest that we're supposed to see more from her. But I can't imagine that she's the mastermind behind all of this, but she's the one character that's left unaccounted for.
I wouldn't put it past them, only to Shamari's point that, I mean, again, like most of these shows have played it fairly straight, and even though this show, again, I agree, is veering off way more than any of the other ones, if they were going to play the safest route, somehow it would involve Miss Minutes being behind this. But even that is still a twist, because, okay, Miss Minutes is a cartoon. Like, what does that mean? Who made the cartoon? What is she really? Is she not really a cartoon at all? There's something to that, but obviously that wouldn't be Kang the Conqueror, you would think.
Unless it's like unless Miss Minutes is like, I don't know, like a droid for Kang or something like that,
Yeah.
Like she could be working for Kang on some level, but.
Yeah, that'd be weird. But I mean it's possible. Also we know that Kang is going to be an Ant-Man.
That's the thing.
And Ant-Man isn't coming out for a while. So I mean, is Kang going to be showing up in? Am I going to see him in Black Widow? Am I going to see?
That was the thing.
Well, to be fair though,
why was Jonathan Majors announced so early? If Ant-Man not coming out for a while, unless they had to get him ready to be in Loki.
Right. And I was also gonna say is, just because we know he's a featured character in Ant-Man, doesn't mean he won't show up in a post-credit scene or mid-credit scene in some of these other movies. Yeah. We've seen that plenty of times where a person that is from a totally different movie just shows up just to do a post-credit scene.
Samuel Jackson, Diana Thanos.
Right. Yeah. So I think I'm leaning towards Kang is behind this still. I don't know if this. I don't think this hurt the case. I don't want to jump to that it helped. But I certainly don't think that it hurt the case that he's behind this, because, if it's not three people behind it, it makes you think there's probably one mastermind behind all of this, and then we start to kind of do the process elimination of who could possibly have that kind of wherewithal, manipulation, power, tech to pull it all off.
That's the other thing about it too.
Kang really checks all those boxes.
Whoever's doing this is like way stronger than Thanos.
Yeah, right. He's a genius.
They've got a dome with Infinity Gems just chilling.
Yeah, and they've been able to, just manipulate the timeline to their will for centuries, millenniums. Again, you gotta think who possibly could have that kind of power or that kind of wherewithal to do that. And the list is very short, and Kang would be number one on anyone's list.
That's gonna be my question too. If it's not Kang the Conqueror, I mean, is this another WandaVision? Like I'll be honest. I don't think it can be. I think it's whatever's gonna happen. I think it's gonna be massive, because it's maybe I'm gonna be eating crow in 2 weeks. But to me, it's just what they've established is too major. Like with WandaVision, for better or for worse, that was still a very contained story. Like this isn't contained at all. This involves everything that's happening in every part of the universe. So
and they're telling me that these people have that kind of power, and they've shown to kind of have that kind of power. Like besides the questions I've raised, where it's like, okay, it doesn't seem like the soldiers, they don't seem like superhuman. They just seem to have superhuman tech, which again leads me to Kang in a lot of ways. But like, but to me, like they've shown to be who they are in terms of the power, and in terms of just the way they're able to impose their will. But all we haven't seen is how, and that how you think has to be someone major behind that. So that's why. I would say I don't think this. It's got to be someone major, right? I mean, I think it's got to be something large. Are there any other loose ends we want to tie up before we do our scores here, or as we approach the hour mark?
Loose ends? No, I mean, I think we've pretty much covered. We've pretty much covered everything.
Yeah.
I
mean, like I was just gonna say, like on the Kang, WandaVision thing. Like I think they've made it to. I think they didn't have to do the thing with showing the middle timekeeper and making the timekeeper blue, making it look like Kang. Like at this point, they did some of this is on themselves. This isn't.
Well, yeah, they definitely been trolling us. Yeah.
But we know they've trolled us before.
Yeah.
They put Quicksilver in WandaVision. They put Fox's Quicksilver in WandaVision as Quicksilver.
There were all these.
They're
lines.
No stranger to trolling people.
There were all these lines in WandaVision about the devils and the details and demon spawn.
Demon spawn and
thinking that it's Mephisto, and
of course we had the whole Mandarin thing with the Iron Man 3.
Right.
So I mean,
the prime example of trolling.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean But I think if it's not Kang, I think there's going to be a similar outrage, assuming they don't have an equal, like, I mean, look, if it is Mephisto, it's not going to be Mephisto. But if it's someone else that's on that level, then people will go crazy. But if it's it's Miss Minutes and some cartoon thing, then people are going to lose their minds.
I mean, at least
I'm tired of these Marvel shows. They just bait you. Bait and switch.
I mean, at least here they're not promoting like Mr. Fantastic. Which that still gets to me. It's like Mr. Fantastic he's a beloved hero.
They never said anything about Mr. Fantastic. That was all they said.
That's purely us leaping to conclusions. Let's just keep it 100.
Hank McCoy.
I think that's a good price now to give our scores for this episode. So, Sham, since you haven't been here, I'll let you go first. What are you giving this episode, the Nexus event, episode 4 of Loki, out of 10?
I give it a 9 out of 10. That was a very, very, very good episode. I was thoroughly impressed. I'm big on action. There wasn't too much action, but the story, the acting, the interactions, the dialogue, the relationship development, it was just very, very well done throughout the entire episode. So, yeah, if the other episodes are like this, I would be very satisfied with the show. It's very much impressed me so far. So I'm definitely giving it a 9 out of 10. It was very good.
All right, Kendall, what about you? What do you say?
I'm gonna go 9.5. That's almost a perfect score. I think some of it is contingent on how the series ends. I can't pin that on this episode. I could look back on this episode and say a lot of missed opportunity. If it doesn't end up being a bait and switch, smoke and mirrors situation. But, I feel like for what this episode was, coming off the heels of an episode that was definitely slower, they really revved up, the pacing in this episode. And I mean, some may say it went too fast, but to me, it was, it was much needed. It may not even much needed as much as it was, it was well received from my end.
Right. much desired.
Yeah, much desired. Seeing, all the different reveals. I feel like they really pulled back the curtain, like Shamari said, on a lot of different questions that we've had, and created new questions that wasn't sure we were going to have to be asking this soon. Questions that I thought would be answered in episode 5 or at the end of the penultimate episode, or in episode 6, were answered. Here. Some of them answered early in this episode. So yeah, I couldn't have asked for more from an episode 4 of this series.
Yeah, those high marks, man. I gotta admit. I think I'm gonna go 8.5. I really like this episode. I just I reserve that 9.5 to like the epic of epic episodes. So I'm gonna hold it just below that, only because I think there's still another gear potentially to get to if they do
You
deliver
think there's
on
another
some.
year?
I
Wow.
mean, if Kang shows up, where I can't go high. Once I go
It's
9, it's all
Kang,
right. Well, then
you know?
I gotta go to 10. Like I gotta give myself some wiggle room. A lot happened.
You
A
just
lot
like I would
happened.
give 9 for between the legs dunks.
Yeah, I'm definitely like well, Michael Jordan was like the terrible judge in the dunk contest.
Shaq,
I'm
you're
definitely
Shaq.
Shaq. Yeah, I'm the Shaq judge of the slam dunk contest. No, I mean I really love this episode. I mean it was entertaining throughout. I think it was the one that I felt most like deeply involved in. Like I felt like when you're kind of on the edge of your seat as you're watching and you're kind of waiting to see what's gonna happen. Like that was me for a lot of this episode, and I thought the acting in a lot of these scenes were really great. I thought again I really enjoyed Loki's acting in that scene with Lady Sif, a comedy scene that I thought turned pretty serious towards the end, and I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed the acting from I forgot the actress's name, but the woman that plays
D Martino.
B-15. Well, no, I was gonna say
Hunter
B-15.
B1. Yeah.
Hunter B-15
Yeah.
talking about learning who she was.
I would have liked to have gotten a flashback.
And me and you are like the polar opposites on this kind of thing. Because I feel like
Oh
you
yeah.
always say I want to see it, and I'm always like, no. Sometimes I want to see the actor just give me the emotion that I need. And I think given
Yeah.
that I saw
The other one.
C20, what her thing like, and obviously it wasn't emotional, but seeing like I felt like no, I don't need to see what I need.
Yeah.
I just need to feel the pain that someone
I
would
feel
go
like
through to know that their life has been taken
yeah.
from them, and that
I
they're
it
now doing something that's again all a farce.
would have
So
been
I
more
figured.
interesting to see hers rather than C20s because we've seen
Yeah.
her as a character. So to see the
The switch.
juxtapose it would have been
Yeah.
interesting.
No, I feel you on
But
that.
they only have so much time. So
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, I definitely feel you on that. I was cool with the decision that they made. Um, we got some pretty good action scenes in this show, but again, the show isn't necessarily going to just hit you over the head with action, though I feel like that will probably rev up soon. It was just all around a really good episode. There's really not much I could take away from it. It's more of just okay. I think there's still bigger things to be done, and we're going into episodes 5 and 6. So this is the mega moments that we're waiting for. The fact that we got them in episode 4, it suggests either we're going to be in for a crazy ride at the end, or it's going to be a major letdown because it's going to be one or the other. But I thought this episode really set the tone for what could be a great finish to this series. But what do you guys think of Loki episode 4, the Nexus event? Make sure you leave a comment in the comment section with your thoughts and your theories on what's going on in this series. Of course, if you like this video, make sure you give us a like, and of course subscribe to the channel. New Generation Media will be back next week and the following week for the final episodes of Loki on Disney Plus. So make sure you keep it locked in over here on New Generation Media. For Shamari, for Kendall, I'm EJ. Take it easy, guys. Peace.